Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, obviously I haven't been to you guys in like a month. So I'm very sorry about the lack of consistency. I'm very sorry that I haven't gotten to you guys in an entire month in the very middle of the season. I know that that's a little bit distasteful, and some of you guys probably unfollowed me, which is totally understandable. But what I can promise you is this: I'm going to be very consistent from here throughout the rest of the year. I've had a lot of things going on in my life. I'm a full-time college student. I'm a computer science major, getting my bachelor's degree, and I have a full-time job outside of here. So it's just been very hard for me to do everything, right, and get to you guys on this podcast. But I need to make this a priority, and I am going to be making sure that I get at you guys consistently for the rest of the year because I want to help you guys win. And now we're in the home stretch, making our fantasy playoff push. So I've got a list here of players that are must-starts for the week. Now, these aren't going to be your obvious must-starts, right? If you follow my channel, you know this. If you followed my channel before I took my little hiatus, you know this. I'm not going to be giving you the obvious must-starts. That's a waste of time. Now, these guys are going to be guys that you might have on your bench, but I need to stress the importance of putting these guys in your starting lineup. We've got to have these guys in our starting lineups this week. And the first player is Raheem Mostert. Now, I almost felt kind of silly putting him on this list because obviously he's the running back 2 in fantasy right now. So putting him on a must-start list when he's a running back 2 seems like it'd be an obvious must-start. But I think a lot of people know that Devon Achane is technically the starter. He's technically the running back 1 in the offense when he comes back. But I want to encourage you guys to look at this realistically. Raheem Mostert's still going to be getting 50% of the workload. Even if Devon Achane is the number 1 back on the team, there's still 1A and 1B, right? It might even be 1A and 1B in favor of Raheem Mostert this week because, according to McDaniels, he's probably going to look at, he's probably going to monitor Devon Achane's actual workload because this is his first game back. So they're going to kind of get a feel for it. Raheem Mostert might actually lead the backfield in touches. Either way, they're going to be splitting touches, worst case scenario. I see Raheem Mostert getting 16 to 17 touches in this game against a defense that is absolutely helpless against the run. The Miami Dolphins are going to murder the Vegas Raiders. This game is going to be an onslaught. The Dolphins are going to be playing with the lead, which means more running volume for the running backs. Raheem Mostert could end up having 16 or 17 carries in this game and 5 targets out of the backfield. If he had 20 touches, I wouldn't be surprised. Against an offense this bad, you have to start Raheem Mostert. I know that people are a little bit hesitant with Achane coming back, but the volume's still going to be there, especially in Achane's first week back. And Raheem Mostert is still an electric back with great speed and great big playability. Running against a bad defense, we've got to start Raheem Mostert this week. Even with the return of Achane, Mostert has to be in your starting lineup, guys. Yeah. All right, next player on my list is going to be Aaron Jones. Now, Aaron Jones has been incredibly frustrating to fantasy managers so far this year because, they just don't use him as much as we want them to, right? When you have a back this efficient, that gives you this kind of yards per carry efficiency, he's an explosive playmaker as a wide receiver. You want him to be the every down back in the offense. You want A.J. Dillon on the bench until Aaron Jones is tired and A.J. Dillon just comes in and takes carries later in the game to take a little bit of the workload off Aaron Jones. Unfortunately, they do not run their offense like this. I'll never understand why, but A.J. Dillon gets 50% of the work in the backfield. With that being said, Aaron Jones has a good matchup this week against the Chargers. The Chargers cannot stop the run. They've been shown to be terrible against the run every single year. And if you look at this game, game script is going to be in favor of Aaron Jones no matter what. If the Packers are somehow playing with the lead, Aaron Jones is going to get a lot of carries. If the Packers are playing from behind, which I think is a little bit more likely, Aaron Jones is going to see a lot of work as a wide receiver. He's been like their most targeted player in the passing game, even more so than any of the wide receivers. So no matter what the game script is, Aaron Jones should see a very good opportunity share in this game. He's playing against a defense that is helpless against the run. And there's a chance that this game ends up being kind of a high-scoring shootout style kind of game. And in that case, Aaron Jones is going to see a lot of targets and be the elite wide receiver we know him. We know that he can be, right? So I love Aaron Jones in this matchup. I think he is a must start this week. Some people might be hesitant because the workload is always a little bit unpredictable. But if you look at the past 2 weeks, he had 26 touches 2 weeks ago, right? He had 20 touches in his last game. The volume is trending up significantly for Aaron Jones. Great matchup. Got to start him. He's a must start this week. Next player on my list is going to be Tony Pollard. Now, I got to take my L on Tony Pollard so far because, I was telling people to hammer the Tony Pollard button going into the season. I have been so wrong on this. Tony Pollard's he's been bad, right? He started off the season pretty good, weeks 1, 2, and 3, but after that, really hasn't been good at all. That being said, this is a very good Cowboys offense. This is an offense that is going to be playing with the lead in most games. Tony Pollard is still a very efficient back as far as his yards per carry efficiency, although it's been down a little bit lately. We know that this dude is explosive and has good big playability. We know that he's playing in a game this week where his team's probably going to be playing from ahead, right? So I think the volume should be up for Tony Pollard this week. 404 passing yards might be on the table for Dak Prescott again. Who knows? But I think we're going to see more Tony Pollard in this game. I think he's going to finally find the end zone. Some touchdown regression, some positive touchdown regression is definitely coming his way, considering the fact that, he's still running behind a solid offensive line on a team that scores a lot of points, right? And he's still getting a really healthy workload. So I think some positive touchdown regression is in order for Tony Pollard. I like starting him this week. Next player on my list is Nico Collins. Now, this is a guy who, we're looking at him and we're looking at Tank Dell, right? Tank Dell looks like he's taking over as the wide receiver one of the offense. He's seen 25 targets over the past 2 weeks. But Nico Collins still averaging 6.5 targets a game. This is a guy that is still going to see a very healthy opportunity share in this offense. And, you look at the fact that Noah Brown's probably going to be out this week, and he's sort of emerged as, kind of a target hog wide receiver in the offense, maybe because Nico Collins was out. But either way, with no Noah Brown in the offense this week because he's hurt, Nico Collins is going to see more targets than he would if Noah Brown was in the lineup. So I think we have a very healthy workload coming for Nico Collins in this game. And, you look at the Texans and the Cardinals, right? This is a matchup where the Texans are going up against a pass defense that's absolutely helpless. The Arizona Cardinals really cannot stop the pass. So Nico Collins and Tank Dell should both have a monster game. I think they're both must-starts in this game, but I felt like Tank Dell was a little bit obvious, so I didn't put him on here. But if you have Nico Collins on your team, he really needs to be in your starting lineup this week. This dude's about to have a monster game. Next and final player on my list is going to be Marquise Brown. Now, this is a guy who, he hasn't been very good this year, but he hasn't had Kyler Murray all season. And then you look at his first game back with Kyler Murray, he had 4 targets and only 1 reception. So this might turn people off from wanting to plug Marquise Brown into their lineup, but I would advise that you play him this week. I mean, you look at this dude and he's still seen 4 games this season where he's seen double-digit targets. He's still drawing crazy target volume, and a big reason why he hasn't been good is because he hasn't had Kyler Murray. Don't base anything off the one game they've had together. You look at the larger sample with these two together, as long as Marquise Brown has been on this team. And if you look at last season before Kyler Murray went down with his ACL injury, Marquise Brown was the wide receiver 6 in fantasy. So he can feed Marquise Brown some very, very good numbers and, help him have some really, really good fantasy production. So I like Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown to kind of find their connection in this game. And I like Marquise Brown to bounce back. They're playing against the Texans. They're going to be playing from behind. We all know this. They're going to be having to sling the rock like crazy to keep up in this game. Look for Marquise Brown to have 10-plus targets this week. He's going to bounce back as far as his overall target share. And considering the fact that he has Kyler Murray now, who he's been very efficient with in the past, I think he's going to have his first huge explosion game of the season. You've got to start Marquise Brown this week. I'm telling you, do not let last week scare you away. Marquise Brown's about to have a monster game. All right, guys, appreciate it. Catch you later.